All right, we're going to move on down to new business. First item that Glenn's going to is in regards to discussion or adoption of a seven-member board plan.
Seven-member board plan.
Go ahead.
7 board member plan.
Yes, I was asked to prepare a resolution so that the board could discuss moving to a seven-member board. As I believe you all know, the standard is 6, but the law allows you to expand to 7 members. And Morris had sent out the statute a month ago, approximately, kind of identifying the procedure, and then I provided it again to you yesterday. The procedure is rather simple. The board decides that it intends to move to a 7-member board. That is reflected in a resolution, and that's what I intended to do with the resolution that's before you. And that resolution provides that the board's intent is to go to 7 members. That is then published, the resolution is published for 3 consecutive weeks in the Dodge City Daily Globe, the official newspaper of the college. And that gives the public notice of what the board's intention is. And then 30 days from the last date of publication, there can be a petition made to place this to a vote of the public. And the petition must be signed by 5% of the qualified electors in the college district, which would be Fort County. So that's the process. And then at the end of that 30-day period from the last date of publication, the board would take formal action that, that there has been no protest and that we were moving to a 7-member board. And so the resolution simply sets out that process, recognizing that currently we are a 6-member board. It recognizes that our method of election is at large. There's 4 different methods of election that can exist, by districts, and this has always been an at-large method that we've used. And then it sets out the board's intent to adopt a 7-member board plan. It identifies to the public that it will be published 3 consecutive weeks, and also informs the public of the means to bring it to an election if that's what the public mood would be to do. So that's kind of a nutshell of what the process is.
All right, we'll discuss it and then we'll decide if we're going to move or make this an action item. Thanks for that summation, Glenn. That really pretty much describes the process. And looking at the statute, I thought it was kind of interesting. We do things fairly easily with this at-large thing as opposed to districts and all these various things. But what thoughts does anybody have? Concerns, questions? Again, it's elected positions from the county electors. So.
Yeah, the at-large makes it easier because you don't have to reorganize trustee areas. The main thing is it avoids tie votes. You'll get a board majority. Once you have a majority vote, then the rest of the board fall in behind, follow along with the majority. Kind of embarrassing having tie votes.
I wanted to ask a point of clarification. Did I understand you that after the 30 days up, that the board still has to...
The board would implement the plan. This, as I understand it, if you would decide to go forward tonight with this resolution, you've committed yourself to a 7-member board plan. And that's why you give notice of it, that's why they have the right to protest it, and then you put it in place. And you put it in place by having an election of a 7th board member.
Yeah, doesn't it say at the next regular scheduled election?
It does.
Which would probably be too late for the April.
Well, that's what we've been talking about.
Well,
actually, if the publication were to occur, let's say on Thursday, the last publication would be set for Christmas Day, which probably would, I don't know whether there'll be a globe on the Christmas Day or not.
No, there won't.
You can bet on it.
Since there isn't on Monday, there probably wouldn't be on Christmas Day. But then that 30-day period would actually run to about January 25th, January 26th, Well, the last date for the filing date is the 27th of January. But what we don't know, or what I have not inquired about, is whether that would even be feasible to have it, be part of the next election.
Yeah.
I haven't done any
Okay.
inquiry.
So what we decide tonight is just if we're, as a board, willing to proceed with the plan.
Does the board want to have a
Approve the
7-member board?
resolution.
Yeah, approve the resolution, so.
Mr. Chairman, there are 6 community college of the 19
Mhm.
who do have 7. Johnson County, Kansas City, Butler, Hutch, Cali, and Pratt. And that was made available, I think, in the middle 90s, if I remember. And most of them had a situation where they felt that was necessary. But my question is, it takes 4 votes for a majority either way.
Yeah, that is true. Doesn't change, but like Moore said, it just takes out the possibility of a tie, assuming everybody is there to vote. And again, some of these,
Another question,
Other
what's
options.
wrong with a tie? It just gives us another opportunity to explain and examine some things.
yeah, I don't know if that's a major issue. I look at it as what's wrong with more representation from a community on a board. To me, that's kind of hard to argue against. Again, yeah, you could theoretically have a 7-board contingency and you only have 6 show up, you could have a tie vote still. So, but again, more representation to me seems like, how can that be a bad thing in our system? So, is there a motion for this resolution to adopt a 7-board member plan? 7-member board plan, whichever you will.
I'll move approval.
All right? Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I really don't have a problem with discussing it. I do have a little problem with why it came up. And I feel like maybe it's a knee-jerk reaction. I would like to have had a discussion as a board planning session, which we've not done. We need to have some board planning sessions.
Point taken in terms
Strategic
of
planning.
yeah, as far as this. Again, I appreciate your opinion on that. We're not reinventing the wheel here, folks, I don't think, in terms of saying what kind of representation do you have on a board, and why is it 6? I didn't even know the history until you had sent out some sort of an email,
Yeah,
which,
I can repeat that for
Yeah.
information. Community colleges came from the high schools. It was an extension of the high schools. And in 1935 in Dodge City. Well, their boards were 6. The community college was under the superintendent of the schools, so there were 6 board members. And it just kept going that way. So that's why. History.
sounds like a sacred cow to me. I'm sorry, I could not resist saying that, because that's just what it sounded like to me, but regardless. But yeah, I didn't know that until you put that out, so.
Well, my opinion is, I think we need to just kind of ease into things and not just, like she said, have a knee-jerk reaction. I think the timing's kind of odd, and I think we just need to let everything from the Fort Hays merger talk just kind of settle down and just take our time before we make a decision to change something that's been the way it has for 80 years. That's just my opinion.
All right. Other discussion, other opinions? Yeah. You're
It doesn't
waiting to
have
say
to
something.
end the conversation regardless
No.
of how the vote comes out.
No, I understand that, yeah.
Well, I think regardless of how the vote comes out, then go ahead and have a planning session and let's talk about it. That's what we need to do. I mean, it needs to be discussed. I don't see any harm in having one more person to represent other than a longer table so we can see.
Yeah, we'll have to get another table.
I mean, other than that, I don't, again, it doesn't change. Like you said, Flourishing's gonna take 4 votes to pass something one way or the other, so it doesn't change that. It's one more body from the community to to help represent their tax dollars. So, I mean, that's the only reason I say to support it. If there's not will, we're all tiptoeing around the subject, this is not some like conspiracy, I'm not in on something, I'm not trying to pass something to get something pushed through. Let's add at the table, put one more person here and get one more person from the community to share their opinion on things so we can talk about it. I know that's what's gonna be said and that's gonna be passed around by the end of the day and all that stuff. That's not the situation. 7 people is 7 people. I didn't understand why we only had 6. Every other board I've ever been on and every other elected body has an odd number for that reason. But it's fine. I don't care. If we don't talk about it today or we don't do it right now, that's fine. Put it off, let's talk about it. But I still think it's worth talking about for sure. Whether it gets on, I mean, it sounds like timing wise it may not be able to happen by the election cycle. Okay. It's fine. Still needs to
We'd
be
have
talked
2
about.
years, we would have 2 years to talk about it again.
That's plenty of time.
But I agree, I
Well,
think it needs to be
maybe.
talked about, I just don't know that we have to do it right now. I don't think we have to do it right now.
All right, any other discussion? Here's our chance to vote.
Oh, goody, goody.
All in favor of this resolution, raise your hand. Opposed? There we go.
We're talking.
Perfect example.
Need some more
Perfect
discussion.
We'll move on to.
Surprise, surprise.